Hi, I'd like to introduce you to the latest offering, a notebook from Backpack Journals. It's called Common Ground, and it is, as it says on the cover, an ethnographic research journal for those seeking to understand other cultures and share their faith. Now, I don't know if you have ever gone cross cultures with the idea of sharing your faith in Christ. Well, if you have, this book is for you. It's basically a notebook. It's with lots of exercises in it to help you understand a culture, understand how to communicate with them, and understand how to construct a message, if you like, the gospel in a way that they can understand and respond to honestly and with integrity. So let's just have a little more detailed look. It's got a table of contents, of course, and I might just read the introduction because it explains it better than I can, even though I wrote it. I'll read this again. It's an ethnographic research journal for those seeking to understand cultures deeply in order to faithfully and clearly share their own faith. And there's two ways you can use this journal. One is just learning how to do it. So you might have a group of people who are studying cultures and sharing their faith, and you could use the exercises in here to introduce yourself to that. And the other way, which it's primarily designed for, is if you are going to share your faith, to hopefully plant churches in another place where the culture is different, you can use this as an ongoing notebook to research a culture, understand it, and construct a gospel message that is faithful to the word, to the scriptures, but also is faithful to their understanding. Now, let me just take you through some detail, if you like. What's actually in it? What do you do? What do you do? Well, you do a lot, actually. And first of all, there's some basic introduction to culture, what culture is. Things like the concentric ring model of culture, which some of you have heard of. There's some of the investigation into language, truth, the cultural iceberg. You can draw that. There's also a look at cultural dimensions, where we look at cultures in a binary way. And there's many other books that do that, but this is simple explanation, and you can draw your culture and the cultures you're visiting in that way there. Then we go on to some celebrating culture type stuff, where we look at stories, significant people, music, architecture and space. So look at the aspects of culture that are obvious. In the iceberg model, they're those things that are above the water that give us an idea, an insight into the culture we're going to. Then we go a little deeper, and classically the way that ethnographers do that is do ethnographic surveys. And what I've done is condense actually, I think about 600 questions into 200, into 20 categories, where you can deeply explore other cultures. And so there's some surveys here, 20 surveys on different topics. First one is marriage and family formation. Second one is birth, early childhood and nurture. And so it goes. So things about general life, about religious systems, about sin and moral order. So you can ask those questions with somebody in the culture you're living amongst, to really deeply understand what they think and not to assume that they think the way you think. So you gain a lot of knowledge about other cultures by using this, by doing the exercises. But knowledge by itself is not great. You have to put it into action. That's sort of the hard bit. So there's the second half of the book looks at how to communicate the gospel, how to construct a meaningful message. So looking at things like the messenger, the message, the hearer, and the community, and the steps of communicating a message cross-culturally. And this is really marvellous because you may not know it, but you as a messenger really affect the message a lot. So you've really got to think deeply about what message you bring by just being you, and if that needs to be changed, the way you present yourself. Really important. Then, of course, the message, looking at shame, fear, guilt, and a few other things, and redemptive analogies. So space to construct some really good bridges, if you like, into communicating messages across cultures. Then we look at how the hearer receives things and how we're not only communicating cross-culturally to individuals, but actually to groups of individuals. And how do we think about not just communicating to one person, but to groups of people? And of course, hopefully, those groups of people come together and form a church, and hopefully they form a church in a way that is culturally appropriate to them. Lastly, something that's really cool is, and I'll just get to it here, is Bible storying. Okay, so we've looked at the culture deeply. We're communicating, but every culture receives different parts of the Bible differently, depending on their cultural background, their understanding, and the way they actually communicate truth. So there's a place for you to think about and construct Bible stories. There's helps there to choose 20 Bible stories and to write out ways that they can be presented most effectively to the people you're reaching. And in the back there's some lists of how to present Bible stories to different people groups, different religions, and so on. So that's it. That's it very quickly. And but the book has a little bit more teaching, and on the website there'll be more teaching as well, how to faithfully use this notebook. But it's awesome. If you'd like a copy, just go to the website, backpackjournals.com, for links onto Amazon. You can order it from there, or you can contact me directly, and I can do you a great deal, which would be actually a really great deal. And you can contact me at any time as well. So thanks for listening, and thanks for being interested, and thanks for, most of all, sharing what you have, a life of Christ, with other people who've never heard about him. So thanks very much.